Всем привет, меня зовут Олег. Продолжаем сторис и сторис. Поход к старому ловеласу закончился на этом. Тут у нас вкачано, не вкачано, похую. Вкачано, не вкачано, по херу. Пойдем так, как есть. И возможно он нам раскроет тайны этой хуйни. А может не раскроет. Да ну уйди, съебись, блядь, чучело ебучее. Я уже забыл, как биться. Да ну ебись ты, блядь. Утро начинается с пиздюлей, блядь. И без аптечки. Тем пойдем, как на камне можно летать. Хули я, блядь, пешком хожу. Дурачок, дурачок, дурачок. Там что, там история?
Only he had some way to break the ice. Or convince it he was a friend.
Неизвестно. Я не помню, что. Как это не херня, наверное. Как это херня. Что-то путнем. Ухо болит. Больно. Больно ухо. Куда я иду, собственно? Но и ебать, что слышишь? Псина. Нафиг на сундук. Я думал, тут что-нибудь почитать есть. Хотя неохота читать. Но я думал, есть.
Renato, smash!
Да, естественно. Еще один. Они мне не нужны. Зачем? Так по приколу только. Бля. Да ты заебал. Навозный урод.
Tried to focus on the now. The ravens who seemed everywhere all the time. Where did they hatch from? Were there giant raven hatcheries somewhere, or did they have families? Ooh, he didn't want to think about raven mummies raising their darling raven chicks. Yeah, Calveras would help. He would make Renato feel better about using the Sky River. And then Renato wouldn't have to worry about ravens ever again.
Блять, я думал, это ХП мне дает.
Sharp? Check. Pointy? Check. Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword?
Отличная способность. Отбирать щи. Отбирать щиты и давать в щи. Отбирать щи и отдавать щиты.
Danced around the room yelling, oh yeah, that's how we do it. It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses.
Он еще и долбоёб, оказывается.
Surprisingly,
Хотя бы
unwounded.
хпшка стала подниматься. Ай, нахер. Уходит, парня. Сундук, бля. Качать нечего. Что брать сундук? Может, даже и закончился. Пока неизвестно, что будет дальше.
There were stickers all over the platform for really hot lady foxes, with pictures and addresses and everything.
Ништяк, хп пополнил. Это вообще мало. Да, сейчас пизды дадут опять. Меньше станет. Хули толку? По одним и тем же местам надоедает ходить.
See? With enough leverage, you could go anywhere. Renato had sacrificed a friend for the Sky Ripper. It would be worth it if he could bring a super weapon to the
Ничего
rebellion.
не меняется,
The
бегаешь по одной и той
scientists
же
had ruined everything.
дорожке. Уже, наверное, раз четвертый. Или пятый. О, отлично. А что есть? Одним ударом. Это понятно. Это не надо. Хуйня, блядь. Ну, понятно. Быстрее бежать, ну и чё, нахер мне это. Вычтите максимум выносливости. О! Вот это норм. Заебало не хватает. Старый ловелас.
Calaveras had never let him down.
Yeah, of course I can make it work better.
But when Renato explained about the strings,
Ага.
Calaveras grew thoughtful.
Oh, strange, you say? Well, the Arcana do speak of the ties that bind the world.
He drew many intricate symbols in the dirt.
Yeah, so, according to my calculations, each time you fire, I'm afraid there's a 1 in 120 chance you'll destroy the universe.
That's pretty good odds. That's like rolling, what, 21 dice and they all come up 6. What are the odds of that?
What? No! It's more like 2.716s in a row.
Anyway, with those odds, it won't happen if I use it just once.
Yeah, no, that's not right. Each time you use it... Okay, look, just don't use it ever.
All right.
I guess. As he sailed away from the mountains, Bernardo could see clouds darkening. Rain? No. Ships. Imperial ships, swarming thick as bees.
Да.
This
Можно
was
быстрее?
it. The big battle. They could not afford to lose this one. What if it did not go well? What if he had to use the Sky Ripper? Could he gamble the universe? On the other hand, what were the odds of rolling 21 sixes in a row? The battle was not going spectacularly well. What had the rebels been thinking?
Почему
They'd been
21
thinking he
раз
would bring the Sky Ripper,
подряд? Я
or the
нихуя не
Ibristone,
понял.
or that he'd sideline
Может,
Zenobia
один раз
somehow,
из
or
20
turn her. Couldn't he use the
Одного.
Sky Ripper just once? After
с
all,
перекитом.
if chances were 1 in 128, that meant he'd for sure be okay the first time. They'd get worse each time he used it, but the first time would be okay, right? He wasn't sure that it was right.
Нахер не
So he
пойму.
didn't fire the Sky
Задницу.
Ripper. He just brought it along, in case.
Посмотреть быстрее узнать.
The portal that led right into the middle of the fleet. It was a glaring weakness in the defense.
Слышь, уебище. Как-то, блядь, не мохнатая даже. Поехали. Мы приехали. Что это читается? Доски.
The platform used a hybrid propulsion
Okay.
system fueled by anti-gravity and...
Иди аккуратно, какую башку пробьет. Сука, вдвоем, блядь. Да ты охуел. Блять, уебище. На, блядь. Ебал. Ой, блядь. Невозможно. Нахуй. Да ну, бля, ты можешь, сука, бежать, блядь. Ты можешь бежать, нахуй, сука, блядь, целая полоской. Бля, ебо нахуй просто.
Nano had felt better.
Я не могу над ним. Что с тобой, блядь, псина?
Someone had told him the odds didn't change just because you'd had a streak of good luck.
Почему,
gut
блядь,
told him
бежать
that was
налево?
wrong.
Ой,
And he always listened to his gut.
налево.
On the other hand, 128 chances to win, but one of them
Дай
to
что-нибудь.
destroy the universe.
Спасибо за здоровье.
That seemed a bit serious. Maybe he could defeat the Emperor
Да ну,
without
блядь.
firing the Sky Ripper. Maybe he could bluff,
Застрелёт
but with a real
нахуй.
weapon. Like in cards, when you had 3 knaves, but you pretended you had a fizbin. That could work. Smashing things was fun.
Ты заебал, да. Смешно, да. Не сраться, как смешно. Блять, это так интересно бегаете. Так интересно перемещаются. Просто я не могу. Вывесь собачку. пачка. Че можно... О! А это чё? Я этого не замечаю. Не замечал.
He set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up.
Не.
He would bluff if he had to. Zenobia came out, flanked by a very daunting platoon of ravens. You won't actually use that, she said in that annoying, I know everything because I'm a cat and you know nothing because you're just a fox voice she had. Or I know the odds. Good, because there's a real chance you could destroy the universe. No, not the first time I use it. The odds are too low. What? No? Yeah, sure. The first time, the odds are practically nothing. They only go up if I use it a bunch more times. No, but that's not how odds work. Didn't you pay attention in class? Now surrender, or I'll use it. Just once, he said. Don't. He felt sure the odds were with him. You have to go with his gut. That's what heroes do. Fire, he said. Please? The Sky Ripper fired. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship went up in flames. It was awesome. And then he noticed there was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger, and even larger. Crates fell upwards into it, and the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror, as it poured into the ravenous hole. Ah, 1 in 128. What are the odds? Thought Renato, and then everything fell into the hole and was gone.
Ну, это
Oh,
пизда.
damn it. He'd lost again, and died. But there was burning Ubar behind him. He still had all his destinies ahead of him. But he'd learned another true thing. The core was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly.
Угу. Плюс 2 уровня. Чего 2 уровня? А это чё? Ну, 4 из 4. А
He
дальше?
knew enough now, he thought. All these truths tumbling around each other in his head. There must be a way to puzzle the pieces together. If he used everything he knew, he could discover a new path to destiny. The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty
Skipnуть.
monster. Maybe
Скипнуть.
he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course,
Да, нужно было.
Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that
чё за
Lapino had
ключ?
betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Ключ, блядь. Ну вот
Renato
ключ.
finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause. And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
А, нихуя.
Renato couldn't quite put his paw on when he'd realized Lapino was working for the Empire. He'd never exactly seen Lapino sending coded messages to the palace, but he was sure. The rabbit had been on too many disastrous missions where he was the only survivor, or where he accidentally missed getting on the boat that went down to the abyss in flames. If Renato could prevent Lapino from getting back to the fleet with all the intelligence he'd probably gathered, it might be worth the trip.
Чё, типа... Босс?
How had they come to this?
Или чё?
They'd
А,
been
ну,
on
другая
so many
какая-то
adventures
локация.
together. Lapino had talked Renato out of prison at least 4 times, and Renato had rescued Lapino from at least 2 lynch mobs.
А, так это нихуя себе. Это типа, блядь... Открываешь истину, откроется всё. Слышь ты, псина, блядь, ебаная. Со своими нахуй вот этими, блядь, уебищными. Блядь, ты быстрей, сука. Собака сутулая. Блядь, ты бесишь. Как же заебали, блядь. То вдвоем, то, блядь, по
Lapino was
очереди, то
hilarious because he was
втроем.
so down on himself and everyone else. But behind the laughs, he wasn't a happy camper. Was this payback? Or did the Empire have his little white tail in a vice?
Это другая локация. Падать нельзя. Блядь, так же нельзя. Хуёво. Я думал, можно... О, хлеб. Буханочку.
Truth was, Renato really liked the sound his sword made in the air.
Пу-пу-пу-пу-пум-пум. Куда иду? Правильно, хоть иду ты. Видимо, не очень.
Whoa, personal space?
Классно, не видно ничего. Нафиг оно мне. Я их не ищу. Бесполезно. Вот энергию бы, да, было бы неплохо. Энергию. Может быть, здесь есть? Нету. А где есть?
People had laughed at the government workbench placement program, but you
Критический
could see the
шанс.
benefits everywhere.
Дай. Я лучше это возьму. Дай. Ой, бля. Я не пойду туда. Нахер. Там ни хера полезного. Больше нет. Теперь интересно... О. А это чё? Еще плюс.
He was more and more extraordinary.
Отлично. А мне уже и 3 не хватает. Этого мне тоже не хватит. Тупорылый. Не может нихуя. Что-то я не понял, я, блядь, пришел, иду куда? Правильно, не?
Renato wondered what he could make with all this ore and essence.
Блядь, я потерялся чуть-чуть.
Right. Probably a sword.
Ну туда не. Куда? Сюда? Сюда, туда. Туда и может быть. Это ж обычный проход.
What was behind that door? Renato's nose told him there was treasure there. They must have forgotten it in a hurry. Surely they wouldn't mind if he helped himself to it.
Да
After
ты,
all,
блядь,
he
хуйлан.
wouldn't even know.
Блядь, двигай нахуй окороками своими. Да нахер мне эти сундуки, вы заебали.
Not
Сука,
everyone knew how to
нихуя не.
use magical gems. Of course, not everyone had magical gem gauntlets like he did.
Где выход? Ну логично же, что сюда. Вот у меня еще одна есть. Но я не знаю, куда его впихнуть. Так, пускай будет. А. В очко. Б. Слава, все ноги. Об мухоморы. Нельзя взять. А по воде тоже. Нахер ничего не понял. Отъебись. Копать нельзя. Все, расшатал.
Ravens were landing everywhere from dropships. He'd better get moving.
Расшатал нахуй.
If they got to Lapino first, the rabbit would give the Empire all the intelligence he'd been stealing from the rebellion, and they'd probably give him a medal. He'd have to be
Да я и
very
так
careful about how he played
заебал.
Lapino. At the slightest hint of danger, the mad rabbit would take off like a,
Не торопи.
a rabbit.
То хуйню наделал.
Thought, Renato?
Все, блядь. Воробьи, блядь. Пизда. Нахуй уж камень. Ничего качать не буду.
Bloody and exhausted, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing shuffling his favorite deck. Now that he knew what the rabbit was, there were a few things about him that Renato didn't find so amusing anymore. You sent me an urgent message saying that you're in danger. Oh, I am. The ravens are coming. Now, I got a clever plan to kidnap Zenobia. Renato wanted to clap shackles on the rabbit and shout, "You're a traitor, and I'm not falling for it." But if there was one thing Renato was sure of, it was that the core of the Sky Ripper was dangerous mostly to its user. If he could put it in the Emperor's hands, old Lysengram III might blow himself and his fleet up with it. Yes, that was it.
Чё? Ну давай.
Me? A traitor? I'm hurt, said Lapino. Why ever would you say that? We found your code book, said Renato. They hadn't, but he hoped Lapino would blow his cover. You got me, said Lapino. And you know what? I don't regret a thing. It's always about you, isn't it? You're the pretty hero. You get the girl, you get the medal, and what do I get? Rabbit food. I thought you liked rabbit food. Go to hell, said Lapino. And he made a gesture, and 20 ravens came out of nowhere and stabbed Renato to death. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
И чё?
How had they come to this? They'd been on so many adventures together. Lapino had talked Renato out of prison at least 4 times.
Типа
And Renato had
помолвки.
rescued Lapino from at least 2 lynch mobs.
А можно без драк, блядь? Да сука, собака сутулая.
See? A little color looks good on you.
Всё,
He'd always
сдохли,
felt that the
блядь.
rabbit resented him.
Быстрее.
Lapino was hilarious because he was so down on himself and everyone else. But behind the laughs,
Ничего
he
не
wasn't a
знаю.
happy camper. Ooh, was this payback?
Поехали.
Or did the Empire have his little white tail in a vice?
Прямой. Сюда, сюда и... Нет. Сюда. Вот
Hey!
сюда.
His friend is a swan. Could he join up? He dyes his feathers.
Так,
Ravens were
давай.
landing
быстрее.
everywhere from dropships. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, the rabbit would give the Empire all the intelligence he'd been stealing from the rebellion, and they'd probably give him a medal. He'd have to be very careful about how he played Lapino. At the slightest hint of danger, the mad rabbit would take off like a rabbit.
О, опять сейчас нибудь появятся какие-нибудь твари, блядь.
There had to be something useful in these things, didn't there?
Bloody and exhausted, Renato finally reached Lapino.
Да,
The
да,
rabbit
мы
was
это
practicing
слышали.
shuffling his favorite deck. Oh, I am. The ravens are coming. Now,
Да,
I got a clever
да,
plan
меня
to kidnap
похитить
Zenobia.
Zenobia.
Renato wanted to clap shackles on the rabbit and shout, "You're a traitor, and I'm not falling for it." But if there was one thing Renato was sure of, it was that the core of the Sky Ripper was dangerous mostly to its user. If he could put it in the Emperor's hands, old Lysengram III might blow himself and his fleet up with it. Yes, that was it.
Остается только
Renato
этот
felt
вариант.
like a real hero, brave and smart. He told the rabbit all about the Sky Ripper's God's Eye core. "I'll go get the core while you attack Zenobia," he told the rabbit. "But wait, I've an even better idea.
I'll get the core, and you attack Zenobia, said the rabbit. Right, yeah, that is better, agreed Renato. Perfect. The traitor would make sure the Emperor got the core. Now Renato just needed the Emperor to use the core. If he could only get something that the Emperor wanted very badly. Zenobia. He could save her and bait the Emperor at the same time. Right. Now, all Renato had to do was fight his way through Zenobia's invading troops, sneak onto her ship and into her bedroom, and kidnap her without any of her dozens of guards alerting her. Then, he would rely on her love for him to convince her how evil her father was, so she'd run away with him instead of going back to her father, who was going to blow himself up. It did sound a little risky.
Это стелс,
But
что ли?
Renato had a feeling it would work out
Что за
somehow.
хуйня?
It always did.
Да ебать просто. Сундуки. Теперь хп дайте. Заебали. Это же яблоки валяются, хавай. Уи. Можно туда и сюда. А если туда? Блять, ну если я туда пойду, я ж не вернусь. Или вернусь. Или это опять это ебаный сундук? Естественно, блин. А что еще тут может быть, если не сундук? Что мне в хуй не вперся?
Impatient.
Просто ебать, раскидываю, щи разбиваю. Всё, в дверь попади. Олень. Так, потихоньку, я так
Ooh,
понял.
wouldn't this gauntlet look swell with that
Можно
jewelry?
открыть эту дверь. Под вашими ударами щита нас свеча. Не ясно. Не ясно, непонятно. Чё? Опа. А это не сквозная дыра? Вроде острова летают. Здесь я не был.
If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger.
Да, это... О, хп. Вот хорошо. Куда, блядь? А что ты делаешь?
Renato was halfway to Zenobia's encampment when Lapino showed up. He was disheveled and distraught. They jumped us. I barely got away. Oh, they got the core. Oh, it was all going according to plan, thought Renato. Now he just needed Zenobia on his side. Yes, that was even better. The Iblis stone. Zenobia could get it. And then the Emperor would have to pursue them. Wait. No. The gem would corrupt anyone. Even her. That's it, he thought. Even Lapino. Even though Lapino was already a traitor. It would turn him against his secret master, the Emperor. he would try to make himself emperor. And the emperor would have to defend himself with the core. Boom. He was a super genius.
Да пошел.
This is terrible, Renata told the rabbit. If only I had gone for the Iblis stone. But now it's lost in enemy territory. He handed Lupino a map. It gives the bearer so much power. We can only hope the Emperor never finds it. What was that? Said Lupino. I think someone's following us. I didn't hear anything. Rabbit ears. You go on ahead. I'll check it out. And with that, Lupino hopped off with the map.
Имба наебщик. Да ебя. Наебщик, блядь. Бля, энергия за убийство. Лучше. Знаю, что было с Зенобией. Так нахуй, сюда иди, блядь. Разъебал опять. Мощный. Мощные игралы.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all.
А, это опять, я думал,
She
что
was
за
curled
кого-то.
up on her bed. He'd forgotten how beautiful she was, how sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She was made of smoke, and he noticed he had a very solid blade to his throat. Did you really think you could capture me? Purred a familiar voice. I just wanted to chat, said Renato. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He needs a sacrifice, someone who truly loves him, to make a bargain with the lost gods. That's a vicious lie. He wants to bring them back. Oh, that's crazy. Why would anyone... They could make him immortal. An eater of souls. And with that, her eyes widened. She understood. Renato told her how he had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred. How he had slept in a burnt village. At midnight, the Emperor's victims had come to him in his dreams to tell him of the hideous eldritch rituals they'd been sacrificed in. He could still see those kittens and puppies. Their wide, sad eyes, their moist noses. You can't prove that. I've got a witness at the observatory. He couldn't tell her, not yet, why he was really here. He didn't want her to be anywhere near the fleet when her father blew himself and Lupino up. So he told her about how the Emperor's obscene rituals had raised ancient artifacts out of the land. How he'd followed the appalling trail of the hideous horrors His Majesty had perpetrated for the sake of his own immortality. Any of this ring a bell? He said. He told me it was all lies. You've always known when I was lying. I always hated that about you, said Renato.
Да.
The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them.
Ладно, продолжим в следующей серии. Надо все-таки довести до конца, а там будет ясно, что к чему. Ладно, всем до встречи, всем пока.